Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are in Long Beach today, joined by the elected city attorney of Long Beach. His name is Charlie Parkin. I'd like to speak with you about civil claims against the city of Long Beach. It's inevitable that we're going to see civil claims. You deal with civil matters. And I want to get a sense, you recently filed a report of claims against the city, comparing 2016 to 15, I should say. What'd you learn?
Well, we learned that it's pretty consistent from year to year. We get about 800 or 900 claims a year against the city of Long Beach. And we have kind of changed over time. We have a couple of folks that have insurance background, and we try and adjust those claims as best we can.
Let's talk about some of the interesting distinctions between the years, because I think there are a few that are worthy of noting. So in 2015, it looks like 67% of the payouts that you needed to make to settle, I guess, these are all settlement payouts?
Yeah, these allow us to settle it before it goes to litigation.
So 67% of the dollars went to auto accidents in 15, whereas in 16, only 52.5%. What does that say to you?
Well, it's good news for us, and I think we are taking our auto and safety training seriously. We have, as we look at these and we see patterns in how these accidents are occurring or what's going on, we're trying to work with the departments to make them more aware of what's going on out there and have these folks pay attention.
So these auto claims, it could be a police vehicle that's driving the streets. It could be a city employee driving a city vehicle.
That's correct.
On the street. So these are just standard car accidents. This is not some type of crazy event where there was a chase or something like that.
This is your standard operation. We've got a lot of different vehicles out in the public trash trucks.
Oh, right, well stated, right, trash trucks.
So a lot of those kind of vehicles are out there every single day.
Right.
And unfortunately, we have some accidents.
Right. Stuff happens.
Yes, stuff happens.
What was also interesting, comparing 15 to 16, is in 15, you had absolutely no money being paid for tree roots. In 16, 17% of your settlement went to tree roots. In terms of trees, generally you were slightly up, but the tree root issue, what happened?
Well, that's a good question. I think tree roots, there could be a couple of different reasons. We had a very wet year with that, and the tree roots like to find those sewers and get into those. But it'll vary from year to year, but we had a lot of tree issues this last year with all the weather.
So let's talk broadly, though, about civil claims against the city before we dig even deeper. I think it's fair to say that there may be some folks that feel as if a claim against the city could be a big payday. Cities have money, and they often are litigation adverse. At the same time, you have kind of do you have a fiduciary duty? I don't know if that's the right word. I used to be a lawyer. Is it a fiduciary duty? I used to be a lawyer to kind of protect the purse of the city. So how do you, as the chief civil officer legally, balance this kind of desire to protect the city coffers, but then, I mean, as I understand it, you did deem a good percentage of the claims made against the city as valid, legitimate.
That is correct.
I mean, the number was about, 24% you found, is it 24% of claims you found to be legitimate?
About that. And at the claim stage, the folks, if we can look at that and resolve it at that point, and we determine there's liability, we're going to try and resolve that if we can to minimize our exposure and risk and avoid a lawsuit for the city of Long Beach. We break it up into two parts. We look first at the liability, and if we find that the city was liable, there's an accident that was caused by one of our city employees, then we move to, we evaluate their damages or their request for damages. And as you say, some folks put it in and they think that the big payday's coming, and maybe we scratch their bumper and they are saying, well, I need a new Cadillac. And we're saying, no, maybe we could just touch up your bumper. So we adjust those claims to the best of our ability and try and resolve those. And we've been pretty successful. One of the claims and the reasons for this report is we used to get, everyone said, oh, I file a claim against the city, you automatically reject it. You just reject it and make me sue you.
And I've heard that before.
And so we wanted to show and be as transparent as we can that where we can and where we think it's appropriate, we are going to try and resolve that. And I think that's my job in limiting the liability and exposure to the city and protecting the city first.
But if 24% of the claims were deemed to be meritorious, that means 76% were not. And I question whether you can convince 76% of the people to go away.
Well, that's correct. And
Right.
so out of those 700 and so claims, we resolve those that we can. Others, it's either they're asking for what we believe is way in excess of damages, or it's something that we're not going to be able to resolve at the claim stage. And so we'll deny that. And then they will, from there, they'll file litigation. And we'll probably get 200 or 300 out of those litigation cases filed against the city.
So out of the 750, let's say, about 200-300 do go to litigation.
Litigation would probably be filed in some sort of case. And so what then happens is our investigators and our adjusters have already worked that file up.
Okay.
It'll be transferred then to an attorney in our litigation section.
And that begs the question, do your paid full-time lawyers handle civil litigation matters?
Yes, I have 6 attorneys that handle litigation. We try and handle as many of those cases as we can in-house and not use outside counsel.
But sometimes you do need outside counsel.
That is
And
absolutely.
we're prepared for this.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk?
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you decide when it's time to bring in outside counsel.
That's a great question, and we get that quite a bit. It's a balancing act. We have to look at the workload for our staff, and we'll evaluate the case to determine what area of law we're going to talk about. So if it's an area of law where we don't have that expertise, that we're going to need a law firm or an attorney that specializes in that. Maybe it's oil and gas law, maybe it's bankruptcy, maybe it's bond counsel, someone who does that every day where we don't have those kind of cases in our office every day. We would look at outside counsel.
There are law firms that are specialists in defending public entities. There are some cities that have outside counsel as their city attorney. Signal Hill, I know, for example. And so, God bless them for being those experts, but their fees are quite significant. I don't know about those specific types of firms, but lawyers' fees are quite significant.
And for an example, in the port, we have some outside counsel that their fees are high, but it's a special area of maybe admiralty law or some sort of special assistance that we need.
But you can run a bill, $10,000 in a blink. In a blink you could have a $10,000 legal bill.
And that's why we try and handle as many of these as we can inside in our office, and we try and very actively manage those outside counsel cases. So we're reviewing their monthly bills, we're talking about our strategy, where we're going, how we're going, and so when they come on and we'll bring in an outside counsel, we'll sit down with them and we'll ask them to come up with a strategy and an estimate through trial, and we'll look at what they think the case needs and what we think the case needs.
Do you need to seek city council involvement when there is a retention of an outside counsel?
Yes, and that's if we believe the outside counsel fees are going to exceed $200,000, we go to city council for authorization to retain them or to add more money to their contract if they're retained on a matter that's now going to exceed.
And does that tend to go well for you?
It tends to go well, and in some of these cases you'll see that on the council agenda we'll add a closed session so that we can go in and explain to the city council what's going on in the case, why it's changing, the direction it's going, where we think we're headed. And
likewise for settlements, do they have to approve all settlements, the city council?
I have authority from the city council to settle matters for $50,000 and less.
Other than that,
above $50,000, we would go to city council for approval.
Terrific. His name is Charlie Parkin. Thanks for this insightful information. Important for all cities, I'm sure applicable as well. He is a city attorney for Long Beach, where we are today. I'm Brad Pomerance on Local Edition.